PURE TOKYOSCOPE
Hello and welcome to episode 128 of the PURE TOKYOSCOPE Podcast. I am Patrick Macias, the author of, The Essential Anime Guide, co-written by Samuel Satin.
And I am Tetsujin28, in honor of this being the 128th anniversary of our glorious podcast. I am Gigantor. I am a giant Iron Man. I'm also known as Matt Alt, who's done a lot of other things. But the main thing I'm known for is being your sidekick, Patrick. That's my main thing.
No sidekicks, Matt. You're a tag team partner, shall we say.
Is it like doubles tennis? No, that's too elite for us. You're right. It's more like tag team.
If you start getting beaten up by Abdullah the Butcher, I'll sneak behind him and hit him over the head with like a bottle or a chicken leg or something.
Who is the evil Japanese dude in the WWF in the 80s?
Mr. Fuji, Matt. Mr. Fuji.
I could only be talking about the samurai warrior himself. He is Mr. Fuji. Welcome aboard this week. So good to see you. All the way over from Osaka, Japan. Am I correct?
Very, very, very true.
Thank you. You have tremendous tradition in your country.
Thank you. Boy-san, you look so nice today. Very, very nice.
Well, you look good this week yourself, Mr. Fuji. You are a fashion plate.
Yes, Mr. Fuji. Heir of the Fuji film fortune?
I don't know about that. I think Mount Fuji was actually named after him. I think that's how it worked.
It's true. It's true. I read that in the Kojiki, the ancient Japanese history book. Yes.
Speaking of Japanese history, today is an auspicious occasion, Matt. It is the emperor's birthday, which means it's a Yasumi no Hi. It's a national holiday.
And it's important to remember that Japan's first legendary emperor, I believe, defeated a giant kaiju in battle on the battlefield, like an 8-headed hydra or something.
Oh, Yamata Orochi.
The Yamata no Orochi. Was that the first? I can't remember whether that is one of the kami of Shinto folklore or whether it was like the earliest emperors in the lineage. There's not much known about because they're like thousands of years ago. But I do like to believe that Japan was founded on the principle of fighting kaiju all the time and then making them into awesome characters. So keep at it. Keep going, Japan. Keep doing it.
When I heard today was the emperor's birthday, I thought, oh, Emperor Guillotine from Johnny Sacco's Flying Robot. But apparently there's another emperor.
You idiots. You fell right into my trap. Giant Robot has used up all his nuclear energy fighting my monsters.
Oh, Robot has no strength.
You're referring to the Dark Emperor who fought Great Mazinger in the animated film from like 1977, right? That's who you're talking about, right?
Something like that, yes.
So yeah, it's Emperor's Day. I'm working because, as most freelance people who don't have a job, as somebody who turned my passion into my job, I never have a day off.
Jive jobs for chump change.
I don't. I've just been writing. I'm working on a kind of cool piece right now. I was able to embed myself with a manga artist and an editor at Shonen Jump magazine, and I'm writing a big feature on Shonen Jump for The New Yorker, which should be out a couple months. I don't know. We'll probably be talking about it after it comes out.
Wow, exciting stuff. Did you time travel back to 1972 so it's Go Nagai and his brother Joe Nagai?
Go Nagai's Bro Nagai, Joe Nagai is still running Dynamic Pro. So those guys are still going strong. But you're right. Go Nagai was probably Shonen Jump's first major breakthrough artist with that so wonderful manga Harenchi Gakuen Shameless School that scandalized Japan around 1971, was it?
Sounds like that. Yeah, I think Devilman was the mainstream hit, although it was difficult to describe that.
I love how Go Nagai's like, yeah, I had this really scandalous comic book. I'm gonna follow it up with one about a dead kid who's inhabited by the soul of a demon. I'm sure this one's gonna quiet all the criticism.
But it was a hit. It was a hit. I think they're rescreening some of the Devilman OVAs here in Japan, and there's like this new trend of re-releasing old OVAs that were kind of made for home video in theaters. I think it's happening in America now. They're going to do the 1985 Vampire Hunter D in theaters.
Oh wow, that was one of the first OVAs I owned on bootleg tape. Man, I'd like to see that. I don't think I've seen that in 30 years. Next thing you'll be telling me, Xer 1 is coming out.
And before we get in too deep, I wanted to say this is our podcast. We do this every week, talking about things that are happening in Japan related to Japanese pop culture from two crude dudes who live in Tokyo, me and Matt.
I like to think of us as bad dudes, like the video game.
With two Ds? Bad?
Or maybe are we more like the lethal enforcers, or are we like narcs wearing that, like, weren't they wearing like life preservers and
motorcycle helmets or something? Was NARC an acronym? I think it was an acronym for something.
Oh my
I can
God.
see the little dots. I don't know what it's an acronym for, but if someone could illuminate us, that would be great.
Enter your guesses in the Discord server, please.
And enter your initials when you get the high score. Don't do ASS, because that belongs to me, okay?
Those are Kinjite.
Moving along to the news portion of the program, Matt, check out this headline. Toho president says Godzilla can be an ambassador.
At a Washington symposium on Japan-U.S. cultural exchanges, Toho President Hiroyasu Matsuoka remarked that Godzilla could be an ambassador, highlighting the monster's potential as a cultural symbol. He further explained that the Hollywood version of Godzilla played a key role in both halting and later reviving past productions, noting that American creators and Toho influenced each other, even if unintentionally.
Is the president of Toho aware that Godzilla is a gigantic radioactive force of destruction that can't be controlled in any way, shape, or form? Kind of like Mr. Fuji, I believe.
I had to do the math here. I don't think Godzilla has intentionally helped anyone since 1975 in Terror of Mechagodzilla.
He was helping Jet Jaguar in 1973, but okay, that was 73. That's before that.
75 was the last time that Godzilla says, "Hey kids, want to see me beat up this monster to save the Earth?" Since then, he just kind of like walks through buildings, irregardless human beings are in the way one way or the other.
That's okay. I've been grumpy since 1975 too, so it's okay. I understand. It's kind of ironic given that like Toho didn't even want to let Takashi Yamazaki submit Godzilla -1 for Oscar consideration because they didn't want to pay like the $500 entry fee or something like that. It's a true story. It's a true story. So now, boy, how the tables have turned. Now Godzilla's the golden boy again. Given the level of like politician that we've been seeing recently, a giant radioactive lizard couldn't be any worse than what we have representing our country or Japan's country. So I say go for it.
I don't know if this was inspired by that recent Donald Trump move to name Sly Stallone, Jon Voight, and Mel Gibson special ambassadors to, quote, troubled Hollywood. But if it is, then Godzilla could, like, join the Expendables, I think, technically.
That'd be cool. Maybe they could ride him into battle like Godzuki in the old Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoons. Wait a second. Is Hollywood in trouble, Patrick? Is Hollywood in trouble? Do we need Jon Voight, Sylvester Stallone, and wait, who's the third one?
Mel Gibson.
God, it's like the anti-holy trinity. Jesus, wow.
Weren't they going to do a remake of the Three Stooges together at one point?
Are those the three horsemen of the apocalypse or something?
The best thing about this presentation the president of Toho gave is he's standing next to a poster of Shin Godzilla and saying like, well, yeah, we could make Godzilla an ambassador. We're like, how many people die in that movie? How much destruction does Godzilla cause?
Dude, aren't the Americans literally attempting to drop a nuclear weapon on Japan? Like in that movie, like they're like, isn't half of the movie erased to prevent the Americans from bombing Japan again? It's like a South Park episode. I love that film though. This doesn't seem particularly well thought out, but on the other hand, Toho is probably making money hand over fist from Godzilla. So maybe, from that standpoint.
If Morris the Cat can be president, whom I did vote for, by the way, then I guess Godzilla can be an ambassador. I guess I'd be okay with that.
I've been writing in Morris the Cat since 1988, and I think we might have a chance next time around. I'm feeling it.
Okay, next headline here, Matt. Check this out. Shogun 1980 miniseries director calls out FX show as, quote, not entertaining, end quote, for American audiences.
Sick burn, bro.
Jerry London, the director of the original 1980 Shogun miniseries, was unequivocal in his criticism of the new FX version of Shogun. He stated it is not entertaining for an American audience and added that it's completely different from the one I did, emphasizing that the adaptation was made, basically for Japan. He further noted that many viewers told him, I don't understand it. What's it all about?
Hey, Patrick, you know who made Shogun? Me! That's who! Me!
Me, 78-year-old director Jerry London.
Look, all love and respect for the 1980 Shogun. I love the 1980 Shogun. From its opening moments with man-on-man urination all the way up through its overblown Orson Welles voiceover, every part of it, I love it. It's a little tough to make the argument that nobody understood the modern Shogun when it won like every award known to television in the history of television all at once last year.
Well, see, I didn't understand it because it had words, Matt. It had subtitles. I can't read and watch something. I don't watch foreign films.
They were speaking this weird Asian language. I don't get it. What's going on? It's like, why aren't they speaking English? I just don't get it.
If only Orson Welles had been there to narrate it, Matt, then it would have been the best of both worlds.
Yoshi Toranaga, Lord of the Kwanto, told himself, yes, build your ship, Anjin-san, and I shall destroy her, as I destroyed the other one. And when the time is right, I shall tell you why. It was your ship or your life. I, too, choose your life. You have much to teach me, Anjin-san. Once I have won, if I win, when I win, then the real prize will be won.
So he plays up the romance aspect in the original one. I hate to say this, but some aspects of James Clavell's masterwork have not aged well. And one of the major ways it has not aged well is how much rape there is, like casual rape scenes going on nonstop. And like the turning women into objects, to the objectification, that's the word I'm looking for, of women, is off the charts in those books. But the first series too. And to be honest, probably was in Sengoku era Japan. But we are not in Sengoku Japan anymore, Patrick. Did you know that? I just think the changes that they made on the romantic front did nothing but help the Shogun drama and narrative.
I want to say in Mr. London's defense, I did miss the love story aspect of the new version of Shogun. I think they botched it. I did not believe that those characters would hook up the way they hook up. And the way they hooked up was like such an afterthought. They really, I felt, rushed the ending completely. So I'm not going to tell Jerry London, you're right, dude, all the way. But, it was not a masterpiece. To these eyes, it was not a masterpiece.
Well, it was kind of contrived the way that Anjin / Blackthorn and Mariko did hook up, as you put it. I think that's what they called it in the single. Hey, you want to hook up? You want to Netflix and chill, as Blackthorn said to Mariko?
It was actually called a booty call, I think.
The rump shaker? Is that what they called it back in the Sengoku era? And yeah, no, I get like that people were kind of disappointed with the end of it, where he's just like, yeah, there's going to be a big battle. Yep. And they don't really actually show it. But now that they're making a sequel, it's almost a given that they're going to overplay their hand with the bigger budget and show instead of tell. And I don't know how it's going to play out. But no matter how you look at it, it's impossible for me to see the modern Shogun as a failure, because it's a Hollywood show about Japan that actually involved Japanese people in its planning and production. There's a unique thing. Like, let's make a film about another foreign country and actually consult the people who that country is about. They didn't do that in 1980. They didn't.
I want to say, with this article that ran on the Hollywood Reporter, there's a picture of Jerry London and the writers of the original Shogun, and it's like three white guys smiling ear to ear, like hugging each other.
When you read the newspaper articles, there's an amazing, I can't remember if it's the New York Times or New Yorker, somebody follows James Clavell around, and it's like GHQ2. Like, these guys are like driving around Japan. They own Japan while they're filming this thing. It's crazy. They have like the run of the place. So, and I get it. That must have been extremely intoxicating. I would have been intoxicated myself.
And Jerry London was no like kind of hack fly-by-night director. He's renowned for directing other such popular TV shows as The Brady Bunch, The Bob Newhart Show, and The Mary Tyler Moore Show. In fact, he directed the Slumber Party episode of The Brady Bunch, where the boys try to ruin the girls' party with monster masks. So this guy was, he's basically an auteur.
Last call for hot dogs. Okay. Okay, now, if the werewolf howls, and if the vampire starts flapping his wings, don't come running to me. I'll be under the kitchen table.
Wow, that's kind of like Shogun, like pre-Shogun, isn't it? It's like a Sengoku era of the Brady Bunch, when the boys and girls go to war. Or maybe it's more like Macross, like the Zentron and the Meltrandi, like fighting each other eternally. I don't know. But wow, Mary Tyler Moore, man. From Mary Tyler Moore to Shogun, my brain is having a hard time connecting these two dots. I don't even, what happened?
You're going to make it after all, Matt.
Is Alice the housekeeper in 1980 Shogun? I hope so. Is she in there somewhere?
Arisu? Alice in Borderland? Is that what it's called?
Something like that. Wow. Anyway, again, all respect to the 1980s Shogun. It's amazing. And it's actually filmed in Japan, which is a big plus in its favor. They actually filmed it in Japan.
This article kind of boggles my brain because it's very long and it comes out of nowhere. This is not like Shogun is kind of like in between seasons right now. It's after award season, and there's like this long article of this guy talking about these grapes that have like a vaguely acidic flavor to them. I can't quite explain.
What magazine was it in? Where was it published?
It was on the HollywoodReporter.com.
Oh, is that like, it's kind of like Hollywood Squares then, right? So like you have all those like celebrities in their little boxes, like saying their little things.
Maybe he's gunning to direct season 2. Maybe Hiroyuki Sanada's going to read this and be like, okay, Jerry, you win. You can come back and direct the new one.
One can dream of some bizarre fever dream fusion of like a 1980s Shogun and the modern one. Maybe they can AI splice Richard Chamberlain and what's his name? Cosmo Jarvis?
Cosmo Jarvis. Yeah, my high school weed dealer, Cosmo Jarvis. I was so excited to see him in Shogun. Yeah, the article ends with like this big mic drop where he's like, that new British guy doesn't have any charisma. He's not nearly as good as Richard Chamberlain was.
Oh my God, dude. I actually liked Cosmo, man. I thought he was great in the new... He's perfect because this must have really gotten into... I'm sorry, what's the angry director's name?
Jerry London.
Jerry London. This must have really stuck in Jerry London's craw that like Blackthorne is basically comic relief in the new Shogun. He's like one step removed from a Looney Tunes character in several of those scenes, such as the one where he's leaping up and down on top of a crucifix. Like there's a great moment where he's like trying to prove he's not Catholic. I thought it was great.
I have to do that every time I go to the convenience store here.
Well, I hate to break it to 1980 Shogun people, and I forgive them for forgetting this since it was like this like giant group of white people over there making the film. Caucasians are a minority in Japan. They were an extreme minority in the year of our Lord 1549. I mean, there's probably like 10 Caucasians in all of Japan at the time. So this idea that like the drama of the Sengoku era is suddenly filtered through Caucasian sensibilities was always kind of a stretch. Clavel pulled it off. He's amazing. Clavel's book is great. I love it. I love it to death. But it is not exactly out of the question that the white people would be side characters.
It just wasn't made for an American audience, Matt. Did you know that people watch TV shows from different countries now? They're able to do this?
Fortunately, see, I cheated. I was on cheat mode. I was able to pause and turn to my Japanese wife and say, "What happened?" Every time I didn't understand the scene. What does it mean they're speaking this language? I don't get it. Why are these Japanese politicians speaking Japanese to each other? Why?
Why isn't this Dancing with the Stars? When are they going to judge everyone? What's happening?
Oh, man.
Moving on to our next story, Matt. Sad one here. Dead Homies Department. Figure manufacturer Kaiyodo founder Osamu Miyawaki passes away at age 96.
Miyawaki Osamu, founder of Osaka's renowned figure manufacturer Kaiyodo, passed away in Osaka at 96 on the 16th. Born in Kochi in 1928, he began his career with the South Manchuria Railway before establishing Kaiyodo in 1964, turning it from a modest model shop into a celebrated maker of intricately crafted figures, notably with the hit Japanese animal candy toy collection.
Wow, I mean, that's a venerable, like, long-running, major... They started out with garage kits, did they not?
They started out as a modest model shop in 1964 in Osaka, but I always kind of associated them with the Japanese animal collection, Choco Egg candy toy collection.
Yes. By the way, is this what the Beatles song, Will You Still Love Me When I'm 64 is about? Is it about Kaiyodo?
It's about the Olympics, 1964.
To me, when I was a kid, Kaiyodo was always like making like kind of expensive soft vinyl kits and like resin kits and things like that. But they really came into their own, I think, in the like late 90s, early aughts when they started making all of this kind of mass production stuff.
Well, I remember also the Choco Egg was like a huge thing. I have Japanese friends who say like there were lines outside the combini at like midnight when they would drop new Choco Eggs. It was like a chocolate egg, and inside the chocolate egg was a tiny little Japanese animal, beautifully sculpted, beautifully painted. People had to catch them all, I guess. It was kind of the spirit of the age.
Those were absolutely huge. What year was that? That was like 99 to 2000. What year is it? And yeah, so that's what I'm saying though. That time period, the late 90s, is when they really, I think, took off as a major, force in Japanese pop culture. They were doing all sorts of they were doing like slot racing, like back in the 60s. They were kind of competing with like Beaumark and Marusan and those toy companies for like, the mind share of kids and like kind of hopping from things to things. I think they did Thunderbirds toys and plastic models and things like that.
I first heard of them through their Godzilla and Kaiju kits, which were pretty amazing. I think when it comes to doing Godzilla model kits and figures, there's like two ways you can go. One is screen accurate, like let's make this look like the suit. Let's have the zipper.
Right.
Let's have the holes in the throat. throat where the guy can see. And the other direction is like the monster, the feeling that the monster has. And they went in that direction. They wanted to do like the kaiju as dinosaurs, as animals, because that's kind of what Kaiyodo did. Like if I wanted to buy the most accurate blue whale or like a triceratops, I would get a Kaiyodo one. So they brought that extra breath of life to the kaiju figures they did as well.
My understanding is, history-wise, they were kind of betting. There was a huge slot racing boom in Japan that was kind of inherited from the American like car, like hot rod boom of the 60s, like that whole
circuit racing. Yeah, circuit racing was huge here.
I know that like Bullmark lost big on that. Like a lot of toy companies that like they invested heavily in those slot racers and lost out. Kaiyodo was one of them. And then he came up with the idea after that. Like he had a warehouse that was like empty because they didn't have, they'd gotten rid of all their stuff. They weren't going to restock it. And that's when he turned the warehouse into like a kind of model shop, like a giant model shop. And he also he was also like really ahead of the game by putting video games in there. So like he basically made this arcade / model kit shop. God, if I ever could have experienced it, that would have been absolutely amazing.
That sounds crazy. We would have been there every day after school if we were Japanese kids in short pants.
Because they're in Osaka, right? So it's like this, Osaka is like a real mercantile, like, make money, kind of get rich or die trying kind of city. And he did that. But I guess it was his son who kind of expanded more into the otaku space, which makes sense because his old man would have been an old man by the time like the 90s rolled around and like otaku stuff was taken off.
I guess by the early 2000s, they introduced those Revoltech figures, these like really superposable figures based on like anime characters, tokusatsu characters. Like every nerd out there, every otaku anime nerd probably has a few Revoltech somewhere in the house.
Yeah, totally. They were like kind of inescapable in that, the aughts, I think. And the best ones I thought were like the Evangelion figures. Like they really captured, they used this kind of standard ball joint mechanism that wasn't the kind of prior art of ball joints.
Is that like, ow, my ball joints?
Yes, exactly. And they put a lot of thought into it. So you'd get these really, really, really hyperposable figures out of them. And they've released a lot of stuff in that line. I don't recall having seen them very much in recent times, but they're still obviously at Mandarake and things like that.
They still crank them out. The way I always saw Kaiyodo stuff here in Tokyo is they have the Kaiyodo Hobby Lobby like showroom store in Akihabara in the Radio Kaikon. And that place is like a museum. They have like these like beautifully built kits like behind display glass, beautifully painted of like animals, dinosaurs, kaiju. Everyone who works there looks like some kind of crazy modeler and they're probably working on a model. Like it's so deep. And I don't know if you've been to the Radio Kaikon lately where the Hobby Lobby is located.
No, I haven't been there recently. What's it like?
There's like a huge line to get in to ride the escalator now. It's like Space Mountain at Disneyland. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's the tourism thing is, as we've discussed, off the hook these days. But not to bring this back to, go back in time. We keep jumping back and forth on the timeline. But another really important thing about Kaiyodo, Patrick, is that they inspired the foundation of another company whose name rings out in otaku history, and that is General Products. Toshio Okada, who ran General Products and Gainax, was like deliberately like inspired and trying to go toe to toe with Kaiyodo for like licenses and things like that. They saw them as like an inspiration and a rival. So General Products is for those just tuning in, is a short-lived kind of model shop, like garage kit wing of Gainax, the animation studio who made like
Gunbuster, Nadia, Evangelion.
I had this insane General Products, what's it called? The Excellion? What's the name of the ship?
From Gunbuster? Yeah, the Excellion.
The Excellion. I had this, it was like a giant, like triangular hunk of resin. It was like, you could have killed somebody if you'd thrown it at them.
I never saw any of that General Products stuff in real life. I would just see it like advertised in the back of like Uchusen magazine and be like, oh my Lord. It was so hard to get.
It was tough to get. I got mine. I saved up like lawn mowing money for like months, and some company in like San Francisco or LA that specialized in selling Japanese garage kits at like
Crooks
huge
Nippon,
markups. No, it wasn't them. It was somebody else. I can't remember their name. I also got like a Maddox 01 like vinyl kit from them. Also, like, isn't Kaiyodo involved in Wonder Festival? Like, aren't they the sponsor of Wonder Festival?
I guess they sponsor some huge events. I mean, they're like a big company. They have like their own museum there.
Yes.
In Nankoku, I think.
No, it's in it's Shimanto, I think is where it is. I mean, they've been around forever. So, I mean, it's funny. I feel bad. We're talking more about the company than we are the man who passed away, who founded it. But it's like a huge presence in Japanese pop culture, Kaiyodo. And it's not really well known abroad, I don't think. Kotobukiya had kind of like they kind of expanded abroad a little bit. They're another one of these kind of like super hardcore otaku modeling companies. But I don't know that Kaiyodo ever really did.
I don't think Kaiyodo ever really chased those like super hot anime licenses. I know they had like a lot of Evangelion stuff, but they never did like weird Baby Yoda kind of stuff. They kind of stuck to the classics.
Yes, they did. And, rest in peace, Godspeed.
Mr. Miyawaki. The good news is his son Shuichi will be carrying on the family tradition and the corporate slogan of Kaiyodo, bringing joy to the making to everyone. Whatever
is
that
means.
Really?
Bringing joy to the making of everyone?
Bringing joy to the making of everyone, Matt.
Okay.
Missing a noun? Missing a particle of some sort?
Kaiyodo's people. Kaiyodo's made of people. Is that what's going on here? Anyway, yeah, definitely visit the Kaiyodo shops if you get a chance in Akihabara and places like that, or Osaka. They're awesome.
And if you find a Choco egg, break it on the curb for the homies.
I haven't, it's funny you bring that up. I remember that now. Like, it's like this dusty memory. I haven't really thought about Choco eggs in 25 years, but they were definitely a big thing.
If you go to the Combini now, they have Choco eggs, but they're not Kaiyodo. But I mean, that did kick off a whole trend of like, what I was told by Tomo Machiyama was that like the distribution chains for candy and toys were different, but by somehow combining them, they were able to get toys into the Combini.
Well, this is the famous thing that like, Bandai has long done with its Shokugun, like its candy toys, where they make these really elaborate things and put like a single stick of gum in there. That's like an afterthought. Everybody knows people are buying it for the toy, not the gum. Like I really pity the kid who like, oh man, I really want to chew some gum and bought like a Shokugun, like a candy toy. And like there's the candy is of an almost despicable grade in those things. It's all about the toys, It's like the singer, not the songs, Matt. Is that what you're trying to say? Exactly. The medium is the message, Patrick. The medium is the message.
Some enter the world of Japanese village for our traditional Japanese hospitality. Some enter for our delicious Japanese cuisine prepared in a unique samurai style. But we also believe that some enter for the entertainment.
We want to see you have a good time, Japanese village.
Well, Matt, we've had a lot of fun here today on the Pure Tokyoscope podcast, but there's nothing funny about the Brady Bunch episode where they go back in time and get peed on and decapitated.
Do you have the bootleg tape of that? Can you loan it to me? I want to watch it for science.
Do you have anything you want to plug here at the end of the episode?
Oh, I always have things I want to plug. Check out my newsletter. Check out my Instagram. Check out my books. Check out my life. Please help me.
I did want to announce that I am working on some new DVD extras for some films that cannot be named yet, but if you look at my social media feeds, it's pretty obvious which films I'm working on right now.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations. Are you going to come in and say the modern versions of these films aren't anywhere near as interesting as these old original films where people just can't understand them? I hope so.
How did you read this text? I haven't even written yet, Matt. It's almost like you're peering into my brain.
It is. I've got the Cosmo wavelength, I guess you can say.
And we want to say thanks to some new members who joined up for our Patreon. Matt, we want to say thanks so much to Cactus Clothesline.
Is that your birth name, sir?
Named after his father, perhaps. And Aaron Yamasato, our other new member for the week.
Well, thank you, all two of you. Boy, these numbers are really dropping. That's making me feel real nervous.
We got to do some Jerry Lewis stuff. We have to put on a telethon and spin some plates or get Sammy Davis Jr. to sing the Chico and the Man theme or something.
Exactly. I'm all for it. So let's do it.
But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening to our show, for supporting our show. Spread the word, and we'll catch you next week with a new one. Thanks. Bye.
Catch you next time.
Sign up for Pure Tokyoscope Patreon. You'll get access to full episodes, bonus video content, our Discord server, and an archive of past episodes. Head over to patreon.com/Tokyoscope Podcast to subscribe today.